Everybody knows Opus 5 is out. Almost nobody's read the prompting guide Anthropic put out with it, and it's full of things you're supposed to stop doing, habits from the old models that now cost you. So I'm going to test whether they're actually right. So just a few days ago, I gave both Opus 5 and Opus 4.8 one prompt, and then I walked away and came back to a 51-minute arcade on Opus 5 using extra high effort. Today, I'm using the same prompt with a new question. What changes is the effort dial. I'm going to be using low in this one, and then I'm going to be using medium in this one. Extra high I already tested, so we can use those results too. Anthropic also says start with the default, high, and adjust based on your evals. Use low and medium liberally as your primary control for token cost and response time wherever quality holds, and step up to extra high for demanding coding and agentic work. So if low hands me a broken arcade, that isn't strong quality at a fraction of the cost. However, this is demanding coding, which is exactly where they tell you to step up. So we'll see if low and medium can really code as well, or even decently as high and extra high. Here's the exact prompt I used on extra high. So it's a little jumbled, but we're going to go ahead and click enter on both of these, see how much time each one takes, and then we're also going to see how much tokens each one takes, and what the quality of the build they produced was. Quick honesty note before I show you anything, I mislabeled both of these folders. This one says low effort, but it's actually the medium effort one, and then this one says medium effort, but it's actually the low effort one, just so you guys know. But here's what the dial actually costs. Low effort took 15 minutes and about 45,000 tokens. Medium took 23 minutes and 58,000. And you remember from last video, extra high took 51.5 minutes and 220,000 tokens. Look at that jump. Low to medium costs you 7 minutes. Medium to extra high costs you 28 minutes and 4 times the tokens. The dial is not a straight line. It grows exponentially. So let me pull up the low effort game and let's see if it even works. Here is the low effort arcade, and honestly, it doesn't even look that bad. Wow, so the question is, what did the extra 35 minutes of extra high effort actually buy? And it's just about as playable as the extra high effort one that took 51.5 minutes, and maybe even is just as good as it. And so now it's time to look at the medium one. Okay, so it just pulled it up. Honestly, this menu kind of looks worse than the other one. I feel like it's just kind of small and doesn't fit up the whole space. But let's test the games. And once again, it built one of the same games as the low effort one. The snake one looks almost identical to the low effort one. And I know I told them to build arcade games, but I feel like the low effort one looks better in the breakout game than it does in the medium effort one. So is extra high worth triple the time? Here's what Anthropic says themselves. Use low and medium liberally, and step up to extra high for demanding coding and agentic work. A browser game isn't actually that demanding, and for this, low was honestly the sweet spot. So save the extra high for the stuff that actually needs a brain. Anthropic docs say something that sounds backwards. Avoid telling Opus 5 to double check your answer because it already checks its own work, and telling it to just makes it overcheck and, their words, add cost without improving results. So yesterday, low effort built the whole arcade clean in 15 minutes and 45,000 tokens. Same prompt, same low effort, plus the 3 most innocent words you can say to an AI. Double check your work. If the docs are right, this exact same build gets slower and more expensive for nothing. So what we're about to find out is what politeness costs. And so we just set the effort to low, and here's our prompt. 15 minutes is the number to beat. Go. Alright, it's done. 7 minutes and 36 seconds. The run without those 4 words took 15, so I added work to the job, and it cut the time in half. But it wasn't cheaper. It burned 12,000 more tokens, 57,000 against 45. So more tokens, but half the clock. Where did those tokens go? I went and looked, and it wrote the entire arcade in one shot, one file, and then basically never rewrote it to edits total. The plain run made 32. Everything else it did was testing. It ripped its own code out of the page, faked a browser and node, and actually ran the game loop. Not read it, ran it. It even wrote a test to make sure the sound fires. And here's the twist. After all that, it found one thing. Just a pacing bug. And the full honesty, the run without those 4 words tested its work too. Playwright, browser tests, syntax checks, audio. I read both transcripts to make sure. So here's the honest version of this tip. Claude already checks its work, way more than you'd think. Double check your work doesn't flip a switch from lazy to careful. It made it check harder, and it made it stop rewriting. 12,000 tokens harder, and the answer came back basically clean. And also, one thing I'll be straight about, this run built one file. The plain run built 10. So some of that speed is a simpler shape and not just faster checking. And then also Anthropic servers could have been faster tonight. So that's another variable. But building something where a bug actually costs you 4 words is cheap insurance. Just messing around, save the token. Last video, XHIGH Effort went rogue, added a chiptune music loop and mobile touch controls I never asked for. And Anthropic docs actually admit this. Opus 5 can expand the scope of a task, adding steps that weren't requested. But buried in the same docs, they wrote their own fix, an official leash. So here's the test. The exact prompt I used as last time, again, the exact same XHIGH Effort setting, plus their leash pasted on the end. If this works, the extras vanish. If it adds them anyway, their own leash doesn't hold their own model. Either answer is the video. So XHIGH took 51 minutes last time. See you on the other side. Whoops, I forgot to switch the effort. Here it is, XHIGH. Okay, and now we paste the prompt. And the leash test just finished. And look at this, 2 chiptune music loops. I never asked for music. Music is exactly what it snuck into the 51-minute run. So this time I leashed it with Anthropic's own wording, deliver what was asked at the scope intended, and it still added music. It just made it a setting you can turn off. So the touch controls it added last time, those are actually gone. So the leash is real, but it's not a full wall. It's a suggestion the model takes a percentage seriously. And look how it checked its work. 0 console errors across 2,000 frames. It deliberately lost at its own games to make sure the desk screens work. It earned a high score, reloaded the page, made sure it survived. It took screenshots of itself and reviewed them, and caught 4 layout bugs I never would have seen. Once again, Opus 5 checks its own work. You really don't have to tell it anymore. So the final numbers, and this is the part that matters. 46 minutes and 6 seconds, 2 halves added together, because my session limit cut it in the middle. That's just real life on a subscription, about 206,000 tokens. The unleashed run was 51 minutes and 220,000 tokens. So the leash saved me basically nothing, just about 14,000 tokens. And that's the lesson. The dial decides how much it thinks. The leash decides how far it roams. If your bill is too big, the leash won't save you. Turn the dial down. That is what it's for. So 5 runs later, here's the thing that actually shocked me. The best game didn't come from the highest effort. Low effort, 15 minutes, 45,000 tokens, made the game I actually wanted to play. XHIGH spent 5 times the tokens, and it really looked about the exact same. Anthropic's own docs say to use low and medium liberally, like I've said, and now I see why. Start low and turn the dial up only when it fails you. Every number in this video came from tests you just watched me run. If that's the kind of AI content you want, like and subscribe. See ya.